Hey friend, so does this sound like you? How do I start yoga? I want to start yoga, but I have no idea where to start. I'm not flexible enough. I wish I had the to do yoga. If any of that has crossed your mind or has came out of your mouth, I'm going to tell you today, we're going to get started with yoga. I'm going to walk you through how to set up a practice at home or to get you prepared to go into a studio. So go ahead, sit down, get yourself together, and listen. First things first, let me just say this. There are no minimum requirements, qualifications, classes, or anything like that that you have to have or take in order to get started practicing yoga. It really is accessible to everyone, no matter where you are in your skill level, no matter where you are in your body. Yoga is something that everyone has access to, right? The first thing I always ask my students when they come to me is, what is it that you want to get out of practicing yoga? Is it you want to gain flexibility? Is it you want to tone your body? Is it you are trying to heal for some trauma, or just heal in general, rediscover life? Is it you want to tap into your spiritual practices and take it to another level or add on to your current spiritual practice? Maybe it is to recover from an injury. Maybe it is just to help with some stress management, to control or help alleviate anxiety and depression. There are a slew of reasons to practice yoga, but you have to ask yourself, what is it that I want? Why do I want to practice yoga? What do I want to get out of it? If it is, I want to practice yoga because I like the way that other Black women look practicing yoga, then by all means, get on your mat. You may discover something about yourself that you had no idea, but you won't do that until you start moving, okay? So first things first, you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to get started. So the next question is, ask yourself, what kind of yoga practice do you want? Do you want to practice at home or do you want to go into a yoga studio? I personally am going to this video is going to be focused on setting up an at-home yoga practice. I teach students how to have an at-home yoga practice that's accessible to them at their time, at their convenience. It's your practice, make it yours. And so today we're going to really focus on how to practice at home. But if going to a yoga studio is something that you want, there are some amazing studios that are still brick and mortars. Their doors are open and that they don't just offer online classes. So if in person is your jam, I encourage you to do some research and look for yoga studios in your area. If you are watching this and you are wanting a Black experience, there are Black-owned yoga studios. I can't speak for every area, every city. I live in Texas, and there are quite a few that are here. I know 3 off the top of my head that are right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But do your research. Everybody else, if you're wanting to practice at home, keep watching. So what do you need? What are the minimum things that you need in order to get started? I also want to just start by saying I have a blog post about this. So if you would like to go back and check out my blog post, it is on my website. Link is in the bio or the description. Go and look at that blog post, and it's going to reiterate quite a few things and go into a little bit more depth on what we're talking about in this video. But I recommend you at least have a yoga mat. But here's the thing, you actually don't have to have a yoga mat. I personally practiced for a year without ever having a yoga mat. I would go in my kitchen, I would be in my living room, I would be outside, outdoors. Baby, I made it work. So don't think that, oh, I don't have a yoga mat, I can't practice yoga. That's a whole lie. You absolutely can. There are going to be some things that may be uncomfortable for you without a yoga mat, but if you're serious about practicing yoga, I would suggest at least getting a yoga mat. I will put some links down to my favorite yoga mats. And listen, I'm not a yoga mat expert. I am not a yoga mat junkie either. I will give you some reliable options and you do your thing with that information, okay? But yeah, minimum thing is at least try to have a yoga mat. Also, if you're a beginner, which if you're watching this, you probably are, some yoga blocks. I actually need to get up and get some yoga blocks because I am using yoga blocks to lift my computer up right now. So give me a second. Let me show you what I mean when I say yoga blocks. Yoga blocks. This is a yoga block. I personally got this from Walmart or Target, I'm not sure, but you know, good old Amazon. If you're a Black-owned business and you have yoga blocks, let me know so I can support you. I'm always looking for Black-owned businesses to support. All the yoga mats that I have, I've gotten them from Black-owned businesses. So, but right now, I just know about these blocks that I get from Walmart, Target, and Amazon. But this is a yoga block. That one's really, really stern and thick. This one's a little bit softer. And as you can see, it's real beat up. I purposely showed this one because I have a cat. Okay, so if you have animals, protect your shit, girl. Okay, protect it because my cat loves my yoga blocks. But guess what? Do I still use it? Yes. Still works. It's going to support my weight, right? The purpose of yoga block is so that you can get into some of the positions a little bit more easier. It makes it more accessible to you. So if bending forward, like reaching down to touch your toes, we can't reach down and touch our toes just yet. We can reach down and touch these blocks, okay? So that's why I usually recommend yoga blocks. They're really not that expensive. I think I got these $5 per block. So it's like $10 for 2 blocks. There's that. Another option, which is completely optional and is not something that you absolutely have to have in order to get started with yoga. Again, you don't even need a mat to get started with yoga. But if you want another option or another prop, if you will, consider a yoga strap, okay? I ordered this from Amazon. I'm pretty sure I've had it for a really long time. I've honestly had this my entire yoga journey. Again, I'm not like to spend money. Once I get something and it works, I'm gonna keep it. So this is a yoga strap. Looks like this, okay? Boom. If you follow me on TikTok, I have showcased this quite a few times, but again, this makes this some of those harder poses, some of those more difficult poses, a little bit more accessible, but honestly, stretching, this makes stretching more accessible. I had someone ask me one time, what if stretching time hurts? What if stretching hurts? Okay, get you a strap, get you a strap. So that's all that I'm gonna recommend as far as like what you need to get started. I can keep going. You see my yoga, this direction. You see my yoga wheel behind me? We'll talk about that later. That's not what you need to get started, okay? So don't even worry about that. And next, we're gonna move into your space. Setting up a at-home yoga practice at home. Setting up this home, setting up a home practice space. When I first got started, I would practice all over my house because I was trying to figure out what was speaking to me. What part of this space in my home felt like made me want to keep coming back to it, made me want to get on my mat. So think about it. You have to find a space that is welcoming, inviting, that makes you feel peace, calm, love, all of those things. It makes you want to go into that space and start practicing. If you don't have that, you need to create it. Create the space that speaks to you. Me personally, I do not like clutter. I don't like anything that has a lot of things going on. So my yoga space was in my old home, was in a dining room. I like dining room spaces because I don't want a traditional dining room. And it was free of clutter. I have plants. I had my crystals, which are optional. If you don't want to deal with the crystals, don't deal with the crystals. I had my sage because every time I stepped on my mat, I would always sage that area, cleanse the energy. We'll talk about that later. But Definitely, you want to make sure that your space speaks to you. It is a representation of who you are, and what you love the most or what you need in that moment. I personally didn't put a lot of pictures of family members or anything like that in my yoga space because I wanted it to just truly be about me, if I'm being honest. Um, if you don't have all of that, if you have a little tiny space and you just have to work with what you have to work with, I also practice in my bedroom, just a little corner in my bedroom that was by the window, because natural light really helps to increase those endorphins, and just elevate our mood. So I would practice in just a little bitty tiny space, just enough for me to be able to move around and not have to do too much. So don't overthink it. Don't think that you need to go and clear out that extra bedroom and sell all your stuff and create this space. It really isn't that serious unless you want to. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But find a space that speaks to you, make it your own, make it what you want. Invite yourself to come into this space all the time. Okay. What else? Okay, so next up, what kind of yoga? You probably did a little bit of research and you started to see that there was a million different types of yoga, or maybe you didn't, and this is your first video and introduction into yoga. But there are a lot of different yoga styles that are available to you. Honestly, I am not going to go into all of those yoga styles. There are enough, there's enough information that's out there for you to go and Google it. But I do have 4 different styles that are on my blog post if you wanted to go and check that out, that I go into depth about, if you will. But I personally practice Vinyasa yoga, Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga. I also practice Hatha yoga. I also include Kundalini yoga into my practice. I am trained in Ashtanga and Vinyasa, but again, for some of y'all that probably went in one ear and after the other, like, what the hell is she talking about? Don't worry about all of that. Trust me, you don't need to get into all of that unless you're trying to tap into more of a spiritual practice. Then you might want to do a little bit more research into what type of yoga you are practicing. It does make a difference. If it's more of a physical practice, or you just want to get started and start doing these yoga poses, just start doing the yoga poses. Matter of fact, at the end of this video, we're going to get started in some of the most basic yoga poses, and we're going to put it together for a nice little 15-minute practice for you guys. And I honestly just take all of the different styles, kind of put them together. But yeah, so some styles that when you get out here and you start looking, there is hot yoga, there is Vinyasa yoga, there is Bikram yoga, there is Hatha yoga, there is restorative yoga, there's yin yoga, and I can keep going. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself. Which brings me to the next part. Look at beginner poses. Pick a pose a day. You can start with 1 pose a day, or you can start with a couple of poses and just kind of see what happens in your body. The goal is to allow yourself to experience what the pose feels like, what that yoga pose feels like, and then you work your way up from there. When I first started, I would just practice a couple of poses. Honestly, I would just look at what people were doing on Instagram and be like, I could do that. Most of the time I couldn't, but it didn't stop me from trying. I definitely would get into my space and I'm like, let me try it and let me just see what would happen. I didn't try to overwhelm myself with trying to figure out how to put sequences together or all of those things that I had no idea about. I just knew that I wanted to get started and let me just try it and see what would happen. So yeah, try a couple of poses a day and go from there. Meditation. Oftentimes we think that we have to be perfect in meditation. We have to have these yoga poses down pat in order to practice it. That's not true. If you're not ready to incorporate meditation into your yoga practice, you don't have to. I do suggest that you take moments to be mindful, okay? And when I say mindful, take a moment to just simply breathe, because here's what I didn't start with. The meaning of yoga. Yoga means union, okay? It's binding. So we are trying to bind or pull in the body, the breath, and the mind, right? And so one of the things that I always say is that the body will do what the mind believes, but you have to breathe through that. So many of us, we're not breathing. We don't breathe on a regular and consistent basis. And I'm not talking about I woke up and I had breath in my body. I'm talking about a mindful breath, just really taking the time to breathe in and breathe out. So let's do that. Do it with me. Wherever you're at, try this with me. I want you to take a nice breath in through your nose. So let's inhale through our nose. And as we exhale, exhale out through the mouth. Feel your shoulders dropping away from your ears. Feel your body becoming even more relaxed. Okay, let's do it again. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. One more time. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. Keep breathing. Ask yourself, how am I feeling? Were you anxious? Was it a lot? Was it hard? Was it difficult? Were you thinking? Were you not thinking? Were you like, whew, that felt good? Okay, that was a quick moment of meditation. Literally can be that simple, and then you build it up. But the reality is, if you're not breathing, you're not doing yoga. Yoga isn't just getting up here and doing all of these poses and trying to get your leg behind your head or all of those other things. That's fun, it's cool, and it looks great, but that's not the goal of yoga. Okay, the goal of yoga is to truly create union within the mind, the body, and the breath. Okay. And so what that looks like is whenever you're practicing these yoga poses, whatever pose you're working on for that day, I would invite you to remember to breathe. Don't hold your breath. Do not hold your breath. Okay, it's real easy to hold your breath, but when you're holding your breath, you're creating chaos, right? What happens when we get upset and we're mad? We get real tensed up and we stop breathing. Take a breath. And you honestly, you take a breath and you're like, man, fuck this shit, right? You let it go. And the reality is, in yoga, we have to learn how to let go. We have to learn how to release, and we have to breathe through it. Breathe through it. Breathe through it. Breathe through it. Can't say it enough. Breathe, baby, breathe. Okay? Don't hold the breath. Breathe. Eventually, you will learn how to sync the breath with the movements, but that comes with practice and that comes with time. Don't force it. Just breathe. So next, music. What kind of music do you listen to, sis? You listen to trap music? You listen to neo soul? You listen to R&B? Try that. You don't have to listen to yoga music to practice yoga music. Whatever you want to listen to is your yoga music. I personally, it depends on what mood I'm in, what's going on, and what kind of practice I need to have for that day determines what kind of playlist I am going to have. If I have a lot of anger and frustration and I'm feeling really aggressive, I'm going to listen to some trap music. I'm going to listen to something that's going to require me to shake my ass at some point in this practice. And the reason for that is I need to, in order for me to move through those emotions, I need to move through it. I need to let it go. And I need something that is a little bit more aggressive for me. You know what I mean? So I'll put on whatever music I need to put on in that moment for what I need to feel. Okay. Now, if I'm feeling super depressed and super low, I'm not going to put on super depressed music. Okay. I'm going to put on something that doesn't quite match my energy in that moment. I'm going to put on something that is going to attempt to uplift me, encourage me, and just create some positive vibes, right? So you always want to have something that's going to be a positive vibe for you. So yeah, if you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple Music, there are a lot of yoga playlists that are already being created. I personally listen to a lot of R&B, a lot of trap music, a lot of neo soul, and a lot of instrumentals. So make it yours. Create your yoga playlist that you use whenever you get on your mat. Okay. I think I've covered it all for now. I think that is enough to say, hey, let's get started. Oh, you know what? One more thing. Wait. Sis or bro, whoever is watching this, your weight does not matter. What your size is does not matter. Okay? You got bad knees? Okay. So did I. That does not matter. We can make yoga accessible and adaptable to us. Okay. And honestly, for some of us, that's why it benefits for us to have a yoga teacher. I personally teach private lessons so that we can tailor it to your specific needs. So if I have someone that is just really uncomfortable and unsure of themselves, they come to me and we have private lessons so that I can help them in any way that I can, boost their confidence and get them into a space where they're really feeling sure of themselves. Okay. And so the reality is that a lot of times people say, well, I need to look a certain way, or I need to lose some weight before I start doing yoga. And it makes absolutely no sense to me. So don't worry about your size. If you encounter a pose that is a little bit more difficult, do something that you can do. And we work up to what we can, right? We can modify it in any type of way. So with that being said, let's go ahead and transition to this mat. Let's go ahead and get moving. Okay, let's go ahead and get moving so that we can get started. So if you have your mat, go ahead and get your mat. Go set it up in your space, whatever that looks like. Oh, I didn't mention this. Outdoors is always a really great option. I live in Texas, so I can go outside right now and I'm good. But wherever you're at, whenever you feel like the weather is conducive to being able to practice outside, go outside and practice. It will really make you feel good. But anyway, go ahead, get your mat, or set up your space. If you don't have a mat, then go somewhere where you're not going to be slipping and sliding. So if you have hardwood floors, take your socks off, okay? Make sure your feet are not sweaty, wipe it off. Or if you have carpet, maybe you want to put some socks on. I don't know, but go find your space, get set up, and let's go ahead and get started with this practice. I'll see you on the mat, friend.
Okay, friends, we're going to start by coming to our mat and coming down to a seated position. And then we're going to lower ourselves down to the point where we are lying on our back. Nice and gentle here. You're going to keep the knees bent and the soles of the feet are going to be planted into your mat here. You can keep space in between the knees, so my knees and my hips are aligned, they're hip width apart. Or you can bring the knees together so that they're touching. I just have a space in between my knees. Bring the hands to the belly here, right underneath the belly button, and then allow yourself to breathe. The eyes can be open or closed, but just know that you're safe and supported by the ground beneath you. The earth is supporting you. Inhale through the nose, exhale out through the nose. Just relax here, just for a few more breaths. Make any adjustments just to make sure that you're nice and comfortable here. And now we're going to lower our right leg and we're going to inhale, bringing the knee in towards the chest, that left knee in towards the chest here. Wrap the hands around the outside of the knee and begin to point and flex the toes here. Just bringing some awareness to the body, letting our body know that we're getting ready to do some amazing things for it. And gently allow that left hand to tug on the left knee, open it up to the side, and then bringing the leg back in and replacing it. I'm going to bring the right leg in this time, lowering the left leg. Doing the same thing on this side that we did on the other side. Point and flex that toe. And bring the right hand, gently tugging on that right knee, opening it up. And inhaling to bring it in and lowering it back down. Go back to bringing the knees together. I'm going to inhale, bring both knees in towards the chest and wrap the hands on the inside of the knee or on the outside of the knee. And let's begin to rock from side to side, giving our back a nice little gentle massage here. We're going to keep our neck on our mat, or you can lift it up, bringing the chin in towards the chest, whichever one feels comfortable to you. Slowly lowering the legs back down, and we're going to adjust, shifting our hips all the way to the right side of our mat so that our left hip is primarily on the mat, and we're going to allow both knees to fall to the left. Take the right arm, lift and raise, and then allow it to fall to the right hand side like a half T. Take your gaze, look over to the right at your fingertips, and begin to just breathe. Just a normal breath. This is a nice little spinal twist. And let's inhale, bring the hand back in, and let's adjust. Now we're going to shift our hips over to the left hand side of our mat so that our knees can fall to the right. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You can keep the eyes open or you can close down. This is a very nice detoxing pose. We are letting go. One more breath. And let's begin to inhale, bringing the body back to a neutral position. So we bring our knees up and our spine is aligned. Now we're going to roll over onto whichever side is convenient for you. And we're going to come onto our hands and our knees. Here you want to make sure that the hands are right underneath the shoulders and the knees are right underneath the hips. If you have any knee pain, roll up a blanket or a towel, put it underneath your your knees, and begin to inhale. We're going to inhale, lift the chin, drop the belly down, press the hips back. And as you exhale, you're going to exhale, let the air out, bring the chin down to the belly, rounding out that back, really feeling the space in between the shoulder blades. Feel free to do this at your own pace, or you can follow me. I'm going to do it about 5 times. Don't worry about your belly here. If your belly is hanging like mine, just let it hang. We're not focused on anything but feeling what we need to feel. Now let's begin to exhale. Bring those hips back towards the heels and bring the hands forward. Extend them forward and allow the forehead to come down to the mat. Notice my forehead is not touching the mat. I'm doing this on purpose just to show you that it does not have to. And my hips do not have to touch my heels. If you have a block, you can rest your head on your block. Here I encourage you to simply breathe. Yoga is the journey of the self, through the self, and to the self. Let's release. And let's begin to inhale. Come back up onto all fours. Make any adjustments here as necessary. And go back to our neutral position with our hands underneath our shoulders. We're going to take our right knee and our right leg, step it back, keeping the toes tucked. And then we're going to cross that right leg over to the left hand side. Take our gaze, look over to the left. Feel that stretch on the right hand side of the body. Continue to breathe and return back to a neutral position. Now let's walk that knee all the way up in between our hands, okay? You see how I walked it up? And let's inhale, lift the knee so we come into a low lunge, or you can lower that knee back down, having a nice opening through the hips here. Open up those hips, sis or bro. And let's go ahead and release. And let's do the same thing on the other side. Step that left leg back. And let's begin to cross that left leg over to the right hand side. Let's take our gaze, look over at our toes on the right side. Feel that stretch on the left hand side. And bring that leg, that knee in towards the chest and walk the foot in between our hands here. Inhale, lift the knee, come to a low lunge, or you can lower it back down. Keeping the hip nice and open here. I know you're feeling that experience of the openness of this pose. Allow yourself to feel. And let's go ahead and return back to a neutral spine here, back to our all fours. And let's go ahead and lower ourselves back down to a seated position. Now we come into our easy pose, making the adjustments to your clothes here. And we're going to crisscross applesauce our legs. If this is uncomfortable, you can open up your legs, open up your feet, or you can put a block underneath your knees, okay? And let's begin to roll the shoulders back about 4 times here. Feel the squeeze your shoulder blades together, okay? Just allow yourself to just open up the chest just a little bit. And let's exhale, bringing our chin down to our chest. And inhale, bringing the head back. Inhale the chin up. Do it again. Exhale, slowly bringing the chin back down to the chest. And once again, inhale, chin all the way up towards the sky. Come to a neutral position. Going to take our chin. We're going to just gently look over to the right. We're not forcing it at all. Just looking to the right. And let's look over to the left. Come back to a neutral position. Now we're going to take our right hand, place it on top of the crown of our head, and gently tug to the right. We're going to take our left arm, extend it out to the left, just placing our fingertips gently on our mat. And let's release that pose. Doing the same thing on the other side. This time our left hand comes to the crown. Gently tug our head over to the left hand side. Right arm extends, fingertips on the mat. Feel that stretch. And inhale to release. Now we're going to take our right hand. We're going to place it back behind us, seated on our mat. And we're going to twist to the right. Left hand comes to the outside of our right thigh. Open up your chin. Expose your heart. Make sure you're breathing. And let's release. Do the same thing on the other side. This time, left hand comes back behind us on our mat. Right hand on the outside of that left thigh. Once again, breathe, release, and let go. And exhale to release, coming out this pose. And let's inhale. Take the arms out to the side. We're going to inhale, palms facing up, and exhale, palms facing down. One more time. Inhale up, inhale through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Feel the goosebumps as they leave your body. One more time. We're going to inhale the future. And we're going to exhale the past, bringing the palms of the hands together right here at the center of our heart. Namaste, my friend. Thank you for practicing with me. Great job.